and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 432, recorded June 3rd, 2023. My name is Mac Jackson Jr. I'm a cybersecurity consultant and researcher. If this is the first time you have seen our show here, our show discusses cybersecurity tips that you could use to protect yourselves from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century, including interviews from around the world, stories dealing with cyber threats that can affect you. I would like to thank everybody who's been supporting our show from around the world, including everyone from overseas in Australia we're getting emails from, and over in Europe as well. And I got a new one today from Kenya. That was really good. Appreciate that as well. Looking at our show. Remember, if you'd like to find out more about Cybersecurity Awareness TV and what I do as a cybersecurity consultant, you can go to my website. That's at macjacksonjr.com, macjacksonjr.com. And folks, we're on social media, so remember to share, like, and subscribe, and send all of our contact information to people you know so we can spread the word about cyber threats. If you'd like to find out more information about how to become a sponsor for our show, again, you can send your emails to mjackson@mjcc.com. That's mjackson@mjcc.com. In today's episode, we're looking at the evolving landscape of cybersecurity. We talk about stories from around the world regarding cyber threats that can affect you, your family, and your business. In our second segment, we divulge into the FBI scams and threats that you should be aware of. In our third segment, these are cybersecurity tips and business productivity things that you need to understand and use in your business. In our first segment, the evolving landscape of cybersecurity. In the complexity of the evolving landscape of cybersecurity, bad actors are becoming increasingly adaptive to exploiting U.S. digital vulnerabilities. These individual groups often tied to organizations of criminal as well as nation state, relentlessly seeking to find weaknesses in our cyber defenses. Several key areas of particular susceptible to these cyber threats. These include outdated software and systems, poor configurations of networks, weak passwords, which we've talked about a lot here in the show. Furthermore, the expanding landscape of IoT, that's Internet of Things devices that are on the increase in our business and our homes. The key answer to all of this is cybersecurity awareness, because we can use this for things such as ransomware, which is a type of malware that criminals use to encrypt information on computers and making it inaccessible without paying a ransom fee. These bad actors use this by exploiting the cybersecurity systems within our financial and other business sectors, and of course, home as well. Another prevailing method that these hackers use is called phishing. The phishing attacks, which are used by sending out emails, getting you to click on certain links in an email from people you don't know or you think that you may know to divulge information from your computer systems. Overall, the United States faces a significant challenge in bolstering the cybersecurity threats from around the world, including bad actors from China and other nation states. We must necessitate a comprehensive approach in blending technology, policies, and education to protect the digital security of our infrastructure. And for this, I have a story I'd like to share with you that emphasizes this from Face the Nations. Check out this report.
We want to turn now to Chris Krebs. He was the director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency in the Trump administration and is now a CBS News cybersecurity expert and analyst. Good morning to you.
Morning, Margaret.
I want to start on some of the other news from Microsoft within the past days, which is that they, alongside U.S. intelligence, revealed the discovery of malware from a state-sponsored Chinese actor embedded in U.S. critical infrastructure that was meant to shut down communications between the U.S. and Asia in the event of a conflict. It sounds a lot like planning for a potential invasion of Taiwan to a lot of analysts. How significant a breach was this?
Well, I think it's significant in the fact that it's an escalation or evolution of Chinese capabilities. I think it's no surprise that China is in the cyber offensive operations game. 10 years ago, Mandiant, a cybersecurity company, released a report called APT-1 that talked about their espionage capabilities. That same year, There's evidence that they were in U.S. gas and oil systems and stealing network schematics. So from a pure cyber play perspective, China is quite capable. Even this year, Director Wray of the FBI said that the Chinese have 50 hackers to every one FBI agent. So they are quite capable. But to your point, what's different about this report is it shows operational preparation of the battlefield. It shows that they are getting in place, that if tensions continue to escalate with Taiwan, they are in a position to cut off lines of communication, logistics, and the ability of the United States to support and defend Taiwan.
Yeah, this was in Guam, which is there's a U.S. military installation there in the Pacific that would be very key in the event that you just laid out there. But broadly speaking, how vulnerable is U.S. infrastructure to these kind of attacks?
Well, I mean, I think just as Brad Smith pointed out in the previous segment, is that we are using technology in virtually every aspect of our lives, from day to day to operational capabilities and critical infrastructure. So we are highly dependent upon technologies, and we don't always implement them in the proper way. And there are vulnerabilities and there are misconfigurations that we've seen bad guys, from criminals to state actors, take advantage of. But I think we have seen an improvement in resilience. And I think the Ukrainians' performance in the face of a Russian cyber onslaught last year shows that you can be resilient, you can prepare, given the right information and the right time and investments to secure and harden and improve systems.
Microsoft's proposing an entirely new branch agency, government agency, be set up to regulate AI. Do you think we're at that point?
I called for the creation of a digital agency last year in a keynote I gave at the Black Hat conference in Las Vegas. I think we are well past the time that the U.S. government needs to rethink how it engages and creates market interventions on technology, cyber, disinformation, and beyond. And AI is probably that kind of forcing function that'll push us there. And there is precedent for reshaping government to meet emerging risks. 1939, the Federal Reorganization Act, the government was reorganized. 2001, in the wake of 9/11, we reorganized. I think we're on the cusp of that, and think the issue is that government is not keeping pace with technological development and the harms that we're seeing in society.
Well, the Biden administration is looking to restrict the sale of certain technologies, export controls, to adversaries like China, for example. But the CEO of some of these companies, they don't like it. NVIDIA, which is an AI chip maker, they've pushed back, saying Chinese will just build their own chips. What do you think of this solution of trying to export control?
Well, China is a significant market for many American companies, whether it's on Wall Street or technology and chip companies. I think the current policy to restrict the more mature and advanced chips to the Chinese market, I think is a smart policy decision. I think it maintains European and American geopolitical competitive posture. I think we need to think, though, how does this apply in an AI model perspective? And I think that's in part what Brad was getting at with his policy agenda. And that is going to take quite some time from a legal and regulatory framework to really scope these things out and figure out at what points of the economy do we make those interventions.
Right. So not a quick timeline to turn that around. What do you think? I mean, hearing a tech giant asked to be regulated is unusual, to say the least. What are we to make of that?
Well, if you kind of sit back and look at it, the tech industry is one of the least directly regulated. There are secondary regulations that come in through the New York State Department of Financial Services, for instance, and other California laws. But I think when you see this sort of push for regulation, in part it says that they're concerned, they're worried, but they're also looking for, I think, a little bit of protection. And I think if you step back and look at kind of the range of risks that you may encounter across AI, there are very mundane risks that do not require additional regulation. And Brad talked about that. And that's, criminals using AI to build the better mousetrap. It's students using AI to cheat. But as you get further up the kind of the risk hierarchy, there is disinformation. There's autonomous weapon systems that will have AI built in. And then you kind of get to that point of as Elon Musk has talked about, that super intelligence turning into the Terminator, there are areas, particularly I think on the models, not necessarily implementations in the apps, but the actual learning large language models that are driving a lot of the innovation right now. That's an opportunity to look at licensing. And in part, I think what they're trying to achieve is some indemnification that, hey, we're playing by the rules. You've put in place guardrails. You've reviewed our models. And if it's abused by someone else outside of our control, then that's not on us.
Protect themselves as well. Chris Krebs, always good to get your analysis. We'll be back in a moment.
And folks, our next story is from Microsoft, who has recently alleged that the Chinese hackers have launched a cyber attack against the vital U.S. infrastructures. It is a gripping discussion of how this group, the Chinese hackers, have gotten to our infrastructures from the military as well as a commercial sector. There is a cybersecurity consultant we're going to discuss here and present to you in a story that comes to follow. This consultant, his name is John Herskes, and he talks about the nation states of these hackers, how they've deployed sophisticated cyber methodologies around our U.S. infrastructures, such as our power grids, our telecommunications, and transport networks. The intent is to merely more than just espionage. The intent of these hackers is to learn about our society, our Western society, and how to bring it down, folks. That's right. These hackers are definitely looking to bring down Western society. The consultant in this clip we're going to play for you here soon discusses and explains how these attacks are done by looking at the vulnerabilities within our software and third-party applications that are used to gain access to our systems. Once inside our particular networks, these hackers use their software to manipulate, sabotage operations, as well as creating backdoors where they can come back into the system later on at some other time. Because like we always say on this show, folks, these cyber instances are not just a one-off. They are a campaign. They may hit today, but not do anything for years to come. Or as they're doing stuff, they're just basically taking reconnaissance, and which is listening and learning how the operations of Western societies operate and look for vulnerabilities before they come in and attack. That's why it is vital that there is a strong collaboration between government and business sectors in combating these types of cyber threats. The urgency is there. Another story I'd like to relate to you comes to us from CNBC TV 18. Check the story out, folks.
Hello and welcome to Global Eye. I am Parikshit Luthra. The top story on this week's edition: global technology giant Microsoft has warned that Chinese state-sponsored hackers have compromised critical US cyber infrastructure across multiple sectors. In an advisory, Microsoft said a hacking group, codenamed Volt Typhoon, has been allegedly working towards disrupting communications infrastructure between the United States and Asia. The US government has warned that China is capable of launching this attack on key sectors, including oil and gas pipelines and railway systems. Officials have said that they are working towards understanding the breadth of potential intrusions and associated impact. Meanwhile, the Chinese government has rejected the claims made by US, citing that the United Nations and its allies are spreading disinformation. So what is the potential impact of this alleged hack attack? To discuss this and more, we are now joined by John Hultquist, Chief Analyst at Mandiant Intelligence. Mr. Hultquist, thank you for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. How serious was this attack on US critical infrastructure?
Well, it wasn't serious yet. I think that's the important thing to remember. This appears to be essentially an actor that is conducting reconnaissance and probing critical infrastructure for potential incidents down the road. So they are essentially preparing for, say, a conflict when they may decide it's time to carry out disruptive or destructive attack.
Right. And what do you think was the real motivation for a hack of this kind? According to some reports, many say that the real target was Taiwan.
Well, we've seen Chinese activity in the United States in the past in critical infrastructure. We've seen it even in India in the past in critical infrastructure. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to any single point of conflict. This is actually something that states do fairly normally. They dig into critical infrastructure so that they are there when conflict comes. And that could be, of course, that could be a conflict over Taiwan, but it could be any kind of conflict, or even a situation that's not necessarily a war, a full-blown armed conflict. The thing about this capability is if you wait to dig in till conflict comes, it'll be too late. You have to spend time and get in early. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that something is impending.
Right. This assessment that has been made by Microsoft, how different or how serious would it be when you compare it to previous cyber attacks carried out by Chinese entities?
Well, that's one of the interesting things about Chinese actors is they haven't carried out a lot of disruptive and destructive cyber attacks. Russia, for example, has carried out a tremendous amount, right? They've turned out the lights in Ukraine. They've attacked the Olympics. They have dug into election systems in the United States. They've got a long history of doing that sort of activity. We haven't seen that from China. So, one of the problems with sort of understanding their capability is they haven't shown it to us. So this is actually a glimpse into a problem that we were, trying to understand better, and it's actually a step forward for us as far as building better security for our critical infrastructure.
Just to give our viewers a sense, Vol Typhoon in this case was able to infiltrate organizations using an unnamed vulnerability in a popular cybersecurity suite called FortiGuard. What impact could this have had on U.S. telecommunications infrastructure in Guam?
Well, I think the concern here is that there could be a disruption of telecommunications infrastructure, potentially at a time when it's crucial. This would be the first time we've seen something like that. We've actually saw something very similar in the Ukraine's invasion. Right at the outset of the invasion, literally the night before, satellite telecommunications were attacked, and this essentially allowed Russia to reduce some of the ability of Ukrainian government and military to organize themselves. And that's sort of a classic pre-invasion or pre-armed, conflict scenario, right? Before tanks roll, it's not, or ships move, it's not uncommon for telecommunications to be targeted.
Right. Looking at what has happened in Guam, what are the kind of threats that U.S. allies need to be prepared for? Well,
India has definitely seen some probing of their critical infrastructure as well. I think we suspect that it's going on elsewhere in Asia. I think that the really important thing here is that we are enabling the organizations. A lot of them aren't actually government agencies or government organizations. So some of these are private companies that run our critical infrastructure, right? Because they don't necessarily have access to the same intelligence that government organizations have, but they will be the ones who will be responsible for defending against these threats.
Right. I would also like to ask you how the U.S. government will respond and what exactly was the vulnerability in the system that the Chinese entity could actually exploit.
So I think this is the U.S. government's response right now. The best thing for the U.S. government to do is to essentially empower the private sector to prepare for this type of threat. And the way you do that is essentially sharing information. There was a time when a lot of this information was sort of hidden behind closed doors in the government, and that does nobody any good. So it's really great to see this stuff being shared out. As far as what, how they got in or how they're getting into some of these places, Chinese actors have recognized that there are certain systems on networks that are poorly that have poor detection capabilities on them. Ironically, some of them are actually cybersecurity tools, and we've seen a concerted effort for them to essentially abuse those tools for access into networks. So ironically, some cybersecurity vendors need to up their game as far as allowing detection of threats on their own tools.
In the backdrop of what has happened and the kind of intelligence that Microsoft has put out in public domain, what is the kind of advice that you're giving, that Mandiant Intelligence is giving to its clients who may be in the financial sector, in the energy business, or even in cloud services?
I think the most, sorry, I missed that last part. I think the most important thing that we can do here is
Sure.
is prepare the critical infrastructure sectors who control all these resources, right? They are absolutely responsible for a tremendous amount of defense, the defense burden here. And what we really want to do is pass on the intelligence that we gather so that they can build better security. If you're building security without intelligence, you're essentially trying to building walls against an adversary that may have planes. You just don't know what you're going to be facing. And so it's a far better plan, or far better way of going out about things, is to have that information about the adversary, how they operate, how you can detect them, and potentially and how you can prepare. And that's what we're doing now.
Right. Have you seen the frequency of such attacks increasing over the last few years? Next year, the United States goes into elections. Do you think it is possible that during election time, these hacks, these attempts to attack critical infrastructure may increase in frequency?
We have seen some interesting incidents during election periods in the past. During the last presidential election, there was actually a series of Russian incidents that appeared to be that were going against or targeting U.S. critical infrastructure. And we had to ask ourselves at the time, were they doing this to sort of draw our attention away from the election problem? Were they sort of exhausting our resources? And so we are very concerned that as elections come around, what kind of attacks that we might be facing. We anticipate them now. I believe that we'll not just see one actor targeting U.S. elections, but many, and that's going to create quite a challenge.
Right. Thanks so much, John, for joining us, giving us your sense of the cyber attack that has taken place, the threat assessment made by Microsoft, its ramifications for U.S. and allies, and what are some of the steps that we all need to take. Thanks once again for being with us here on CNBC TV.
Yes, folks. So in our third story, we're going to talk about a story that I take really personal, because over the last 12 years, I have followed this following company and their advancements in technology since the beginning, when the company first formed, and that is Tesla. Tesla with Elon Musk. I've been a follower of Tesla and Musk for, again, over 12 years. Don't have a Tesla yet because I've been waiting and wanting the advancements. Just like us in technology, we want to have the latest and greatest technology. Well, Tesla has a great car right now. The Model S Plaid is amazing. I'm looking at it. However, I'm now cautious, just like we are in technology, cautious with any new technology that's out. And those have been productive in technology and been successful in it, you always will find bad guys trying to bring them down. Well, folks, it has now happened. Tesla has been hacked with a major cyber attack that have affected their organization. Tesla has reported recently that has been a significant cyber breach from hackers gaining unauthorized access to company information. This incident underscores the manufacturers and other auto manufacturers as well growing concerns about cyber threats in the increasingly use of software-driven technology. The hackers exploited the software vulnerability in the Tesla's systems, potentially gaining access to intellectual property, customer data, and operational protocols. That's the key, folks, operational protocols. What does that mean? It can mean lots of different things. I don't want to speculate here what it could mean because Tesla is currently investigating it with federal authorities and worldwide cybersecurity consultants and scholars, professionals like ourselves. So, in researching this. But we can tell you that this incident has created a stark reminder of the critical need for cybersecurity measures in the automobile industry and all sectors of public and private, including maintaining software patches. And this is individuals too, for your home as well. Software patches must be maintained, end user education, and the efficiency use of incident response planning. Tesla has yet to disclose the full extent of this data breach, but again, like we said earlier, they are working on it and they will definitely get back to all of us, and we will get back to you as well, letting you know what's going on with Tesla. Until then, I still like the Teslas, but I'm still looking at other car manufacturers, such as the Cadillac Lyriq. I just want to give them a shout out. Definitely a beautiful car, and look at the Cadillac Lyriq as well. To further this story, we're going to take a story from our friends over at Cyber News and talk with AI Joe. Check out this report.
Hi, I'm Joe, your daily artificially generated source of cyber news, and here is a short recap of the most important stories from this weekend. Let's start from Tesla, which sustained massive data leak last week. A disgruntled employee shared over 100 gigabytes of data with Handelsblatt, a German newspaper. The data contains thousands of serious customer complaints the company ignored, reports on production problems, and other information revealing all kinds of problems. The leak also included names, emails, social security numbers, salaries, and other confidential information of Tesla employees, including Elon Musk himself. But most importantly, it also contained a lot of sensitive data about Tesla's customers. Apparently, the company hoarded it without ensuring adequate protection, a violation which already resulted in the Dutch data protection watchdog starting an investigation. Another serious story comes from Kenya, where a several years-long Chinese hacking campaign has been revealed. According to a report by Reuters, various Kenyan governmental institutions were spied upon by the Chinese government, which kept an eye on everything that happened in Kenya. Reportedly, the main reason for the campaign was to keep tabs on Kenyan finances. Just like many other African nations, Kenya was a strategic partner in China's Belt and Road Initiative and borrowed over $9 billion to build up its infrastructure. It appears China was worried about Kenya's ability to repay the debts and hacked into the country's governmental networks to investigate. Kenyan officials confirmed the hack, but said the attacks were unsuccessful. Grand Tierra Energy, a Canadian oil and gas company, was reportedly targeted by Lockbit. The gang said it managed to steal over 150 gigabytes of data, including employee passports, contracts, financial data, and more. The company is given a deadline of 2nd of June to pay ransom or let the data be posted on the dark web. Let's finish with Mbai, a streaming service which had to shut down a number of its servers due to a cyber attack. The servers were user-hosted, and the service had to shut them down remotely. According to the reports, the attack started in mid-May and resulted in a number of servers being infected with a malicious plugin. The plugin harvested the credentials of users who logged in. Therefore, Mbai decided to shut down all affected servers and instructed their owners on how to delete malicious files. And that's it for now. You can check my previous recaps here, and I will see you in the next one.
Folks, like we always state here on Cybersecurity Awareness TV, hackers are continually looking for vulnerabilities in our infrastructure and in our lifestyle and our basically Western way of life. We must stay vigilant and educate everyone from our children to our grandparents and everybody in between in our homes and in our business on cybersecurity awareness. We all have a responsibility and a part and a role to play in protecting our data from these hackers. Folks, like we say on the show in Cybersecurity Awareness TV, hashtag stay cyberwoke, folks. We'll be back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Judy Morio. I invite you to watch my show, What's Your Story with Judy Mario on WWDBTV, where I interview celebrities, doctors, authors, professional speakers, and just plain folks like you and me. So watch my show and also watch some of the other great shows that we have here on WWDBTV, and you can also find us on Roku.
Hi everybody, Aaron Phillips here, inviting you to join me every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. right here on Worldwide Digital Broadcasting TV on my show, Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips. I bring to you the movers and shakers of Las Vegas and really all around the world. It's also fun, entertaining, silly, goofy, informative, everything you'd want to be entertained by on a Saturday, except no politics, no religion. As I said, it's designed to be a fun show. Remember, that's every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, right here, Aaron's Hour, Worldwide Digital Broadcasting TV.
Hi folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Matt Jackson Jr. In this segment, we're talking about the FBI reports. These are warnings that the FBI suggests that you should take a look at and be concerned with, folks, of cyber hackers and scammers from around the world trying to get your information and, of course, exploit you for your money. This story comes to us from Florida. A Florida Baptist convention called the FBC had a significant data breach. That's right, folks. Baptist Church, significant data breach in their networks of the whole Baptist organization. These hackers are, of course, trying to commit fraud and acquire information on the donors. Again, this goes back to what we talked about in the show and in my business regarding nonprofit organizations where hackers are looking for your donors. They're coming after your donors and attacking them. And as a nonprofit organizations like the Baptist conventions, these hackers see money, just like at a bank or a bank vault. These robbers are looking to exploit and scam these individuals. Now, it is still not clear of how these malicious attackers, what they did during the convention for the financial information, but it's stated that they made some illegal access to the organizations and their activities and tried to exploit member information, including personal identifiable information. The Baptist Church organization, the convention, they're working closely with law enforcement agencies to investigate the extent of this type of fraud and find these predators and bring them to justice. Additionally, the engagement of the cybersecurity and financial experts has strengthened their defenses in the organization by providing more training and understanding of how these threats can happen. This is unfortunate, and it highlights again, folks, the vulnerability of nonprofit organizations, religious organizations to financial fraud and crimes. It underscores the need for robust financial controls, stringent cybersecurity measures, and increased vigilance on supporting resources in the community to work together. The story I have for you folks comes from Florida, from News 4 JAX. Check the story out.
A Jacksonville-based church organization is trying to get back more than $700,000 stolen by cyber thieves. The Florida Baptist Convention is a network of Southern Baptist churches that spans the entire state.
It relies on various donations, money that was taken in what the group calls financial fraud. News for Jackson I-Team investigator Vic Michelucci shows us how you can avoid falling victim to a costly scam like this.
We are always talking about cybersecurity, and this is why. The Florida Baptist Convention, based in Jacksonville, has announced it lost more than $700,000 in a recent hack. Money that was meant to help a community of churches and ministries. Leaders wrote in a statement, "As you can imagine, our convention staff and State Board of Missions is distraught over this loss of financial resources. Money meant for good that's now in the hands of thieves."
And they were able to craft an email that looked exactly like the business process that the Florida Baptist Convention had set up to be able to support some of the mission work that they wanted to do. This is according to their statement. To me, this sounds a lot like insurance and other fraud claims we've investigated.
Ben Fink is a cybersecurity expert who co-founded Jacksonville-based On Defend. He knows this scheme all too well. In this case, he believes hackers got access to someone's email, learned how the organization worked, then sent out fake billing information.
And so it gets pretty easy for them to figure out if I doctor this up and put a different account number in here, this will look legit to somebody on the other side, and I bet I can get them to send me some money.
FBC sent us a statement saying that the team is working with the FBI, local law enforcement, their bank and insurance company to try to get the money back.
They say that they're trying to recover that money. What do you think about their chances of getting some of it back?
I guess there's two avenues they could try, right? The first is law enforcement might be able to recover some of it. Big fans of the folks in law enforcement who have to deal with this, but they are swamped with a lot of these, so there's probably not a great chance. The other side would be insurance, and most insurance carriers tend to not reimburse this kind of thing. They tend to have plenty of reasons in their coverage policy as to why they wouldn't. This would not be reimbursable.
And cyber criminals often trace back to other countries, making it incredibly difficult to get any justice. Fink has this advice. Your email is one of your most important online accounts, so use a good, strong password that you don't use anywhere else and that you don't share with anyone else. He adds, using multi-factor authentication to log in will help make your accounts safer, and do not collect payments over email. This can take more time, but he says person to person will always work better. I'm Vic Micolucci, Channel 4, the local station.
So, folks, like what I say here on the show, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, we must stay vigilant. We must stay vigilant, folks. Things you hear on the show, make sure you tell a friend. Find us on social media, share, like, and subscribe to our show. And for a limited time, we have spots available for sponsors on our show, folks. So definitely contact me at mjackson@mjcc.com and become a sponsor of Cybersecurity Awareness TV on the WWDBTV network, folks. To get your message out, we can work together to communicate and collaborate on cybersecurity awareness. Folks, hashtag Stay Cyberwoke. We'll be back after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here hashtag Stay Cyberwoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at vandersoncybergroup.com or my website, macjacksonjr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hello, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we discuss business tips to improve productivity and cybersecurity. Folks, in this segment, we always say, think before you click. You see an email, examine it first before you click on any links. Make sure that it's someone that you are expecting an email to come to. And also have an email program within your organization, an email system that is within your organization that washes and analyzes every email in your company. Now, if you're not sure what I'm speaking of here, folks, definitely contact me. But basically what this is, you could have your Gmail, your Outlook that has emails from your business, a small company or a large corporation. But you should have a filtering system, folks, that stands as a guard in front of all emails that comes through your particular end user device. And it sifts through these emails looking for anything that looks suspicious. Now, there are companies that can do this for you, and we can definitely connect you with these type of companies, folks, but it's definitely recommended because of what we're going through now with these cyber thieves always trying to find and exploit people, is to have all of your emails scanned and filtered through a system. And these systems are connected to an international group of cybersecurity organizations that will look for discrepancies or similarities of other types of hacks that are going on. And if your email looks suspicious, you will get a warning letting you know that your email you're about to click on or about to read is suspicious. So definitely find out more about it. If you don't find out from our company, definitely check with your IT team or your legal team, your organization, or your cybersecurity governance team within your company and find out how to filter your emails. And also at home. Yes, your home email needs to be filtered because we have sophistication IT teams at our work, but at our home, we usually don't. We usually rely on Google or Outlook or Microsoft to handle your emails. You need to have the extra layer of security filtering on all emails in your organization. It is definitely a concern to look into. Now, another concern I'd like to share with you is that it's a huge one right now, folks. Your smartphone. Hackers are looking to steal your smartphone in several different ways. One is if you have a PIN number, a 4-digit PIN, to get to your phone. You're at a party or event or a bar, and the hacker sees your particular PIN number that you enter in your phone and happens to steal it from you. Steal it meaning you left it on the counter, you didn't see it, but they know your PIN. Within seconds, they could change the PIN on that phone before you get a chance to go back to your ISP and restore it. This is huge, and this is a warning that we want to let everybody know. It's a part of the SIM swapping. So in other words, if your phone gets stolen by a hacker or a scammer or any type of person setting you up, even as a setup, this is done too with two people working together to steal someone's phone. They get the PIN, they have your phone in their possession. You know that it's missing. You then use other means to contact your ISP. T-Mobile, Verizon, whomever. And by the time you contact them, they've already taken your phone and changed your password, your PIN. Now, if they have access to your phone, they can go in and change your bank account information, change all of it. When you're at the Sprint store or T-Mobile, Verizon, and you're trying to log back in your account, your passwords are now changed. Now you have to prove that it's you. More of a hassle, more time of identifying yourself and proving that you are the real person. Thereby, hackers and scammers already begun to take money out of your account. So there are some preventative cautions, folks, that we recommend that you utilize. One, strong passwords. We talked about this for years in our show, folks. Strong passwords. We mean a passphrase, not just a password, a passphrase. Also, utilizing multi-factor identification. Multi-factor, meaning that when you access a website, you're going to get a text message in from your smart device or an email that you can enter in to make sure that it's you before you have access to your site. Also, if you can, use your phone's facial recognition. Yes, facial recognition. For now, it's a tool that we could utilize. Now, there are other tools coming out in the future that are being worked on and developed within laboratories of cybersecurity researchers from around the world. But for now, definitely take advantage of the facial recognition, two-factor authentication from your phone. Also, contact your ISP as well to look for additional protective measures. A lot of the ISPs will actually talk to you about their particular policies they have in place. In other words, folks, like we've always said in the show, make sure you have a backup plan, a fire drill, a what happens, a what if scenario, and what to do about it. It's important that you do this, folks. We want to share that with you. Folks, that's all we have for you this week on Cybersecurity Awareness TV. We want you to stay vigilant, folks, and we encourage you to definitely keep vigilant on what's going on out there in the world of cyber crimes, and tell a friend as well. To find out more about my company and what we can do for you, definitely go to my website at macjacksonjr.com. It's macjacksonjr.com. Find out about how to train your employees by going to my website, Vanderson Cyber Group. It's the name of my company, Vanderson Cyber Group at vandersoncybergroup.com. We can train your employees on proper policies and procedures to protect your company from these types of cyber threats. Until next week, folks, stay cyberwoke, hashtag stay cyberwoke. Take care.
You